Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is John Euler. I'm president of the York County Bar Foundation. I wanted to open our program today with a brief history of Law Day. On May 1st, the United States officially recognizes Law Day. It is meant to reflect on the rule of law in the foundation of the country and to recognize its importance in our society. Before President Dwight D. Eisenhower declared May 1st to be Law Day, the first day of May was known in some parts of the world as May Day, a day to remember the struggles of workers in their fight for better wages and working conditions. Law Day was originally the idea of Charles S. Rhine, Eisenhower's legal counsel for a time, who was serving in 1957 through 1958 as president of the American Bar Association. On February 5th, 1958, President Eisenhower recognized the first Law Day when he proclaimed that henceforth, May 1st of each year would be Law Day in the United States. He stated, "In a very real sense, the world no longer has a choice between force and law. If civilization is to survive, it must choose the rule of law." This short video, created by our partners at the American Bar Association, gives an overview about the rule of law and why it matters to all of us. Civics education and the needs of young people are central to the work of the York County Bar and York County Bar Foundation. Today, bar associations across the country, including the York County Bar Association and Foundation, include Law Day as a part of their legal education outreach, especially for students. The York County Bar facilitates speakers for back-to-school programs during the year where attorneys attend career days and talk about the role of attorneys in advancing the cause of justice. We also have a law mentoring program for students created by attorney Walt Tilley in conjunction with the York County Alliance for Learning that introduces approximately 20 high school students from around the county to the practice of law over the course of 10 sessions held at the Bar Center, as shown in these photos, and culminates in a mock trial at the Judicial Center. Speaking of mock trial, our members also devote countless hours in coaching our high school mock trial teams, participating as judges and jurors in the competition, creating questions and reviewing essay contest submissions, and also the wonderful bookmark design artwork submitted. Students are central to Law Day, and we commend all of those who participated in the various activities. And we congratulate all the winners and extend our thanks to our Law Day committee and co-chairs, Jen Galloway and Devon Myers. Before our mock trial coordinator, Andrea Fitzsimmons, recognizes the hard work of our mock trial teams and coaches. Let's watch a short video about why the Pennsylvania Bar Association created this program in the first place.
The Pennsylvania Bar Association Young Lawyers Division Mock Trial Program is the Bar Association's largest civics education program.
Students actually participate in an actual trial, obviously with fake characters, but they cross-examine and direct examine witnesses, they make objections, and it's really a way for the students to actively participate in the judicial process.
That's the mission of the Bar Foundation and of the Bar Association itself, is really teaching these students the great things the judicial branch does, what lawyers do, our role in society, and our role in our government.
Mock trial was probably one of the best choices I've ever made in high school.
Honestly, I joined because most of my friends were doing it, and then I actually started to love it so much, and I can't imagine not doing it.
I would say that mock trial, out of any club I've ever participated in, not only requires but helps you develop the broadest array of skills.
I definitely have more of a basis and much more confidence when presenting. And I definitely know a ton more about our legal system. I know how to go up and essentially tell someone why they're wrong or why they're right.
In 10 or 15 years, I hope to be practicing law. I just want to be someone that can really help others and make an impact on other people's lives, the people that need the help.
Well, we are the next leaders of the world, so if we understand the law at such a young age and we hone our abilities, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to take care of the world and the law and maintain justice.
And now Andrea Fitzsimmons, our mock trial coordinator.
Hi everybody. I was the district coordinator this year for the York Adams County District, as well as one of the 4 regional co-coordinators. One of the largest in the nation, the Pennsylvania Bar Association Young Lawyers Division Mock Trial Competition gives high school students teams from across the state the opportunity to act as lawyers and witnesses in simulated civil and criminal trials before actual judges and panels of juries. This year, 232 teams from 199 high schools competed in district and regional levels of Pennsylvania's mock trial competition in hopes of gaining one of the 16 spots at the statewide competition that was held virtually for the first time. Lawyers volunteered to assist students as team advisors, scorekeepers, and as regional coordinators. First, I would like to give a thanks to Louis Reagan, who is helping me arrange judges for this year's district trials. We'd also like to thank our timekeepers, Anne Marie and Tina Mobley, as well as the bar staff, Cheryl Kaufman. Thank you for all of those who volunteered to act as jurors and judges and to preside over our mock trials this year. A special shout out, we have our Juror of the Year award goes to RJ Fisher. He attended 5 of the mock trials out of the 10 total district mock trials this year. And our Judge of the Year award goes to Kathleen Prendergast, who judged 4 of those 10 mock trials. In York County, there were 7 mock trial teams who participated, Kennerdale, Northern, and Spring Grove, as well as Redland. Spring Grove had 4 impressive teams. We are going to spin the wheel. We have a very special drawing. All of our judges and jurors who participate are entered into a drawing to win a prize. 3 will be selected to receive a $50 gift card and or voucher for future bar events, their choice. So let's spin the wheel then.
All right, the first one is for our judges.
Awesome. Congratulations, President Judge Maria Musty Cook.
And now our jurors.
congratulations then to Bill Hoffmeyer and Doug Kozak. So as I was saying, there were 7 mock trial teams who participated this year. Each participant will receive an engraved medal and a certificate. And the school and attorney coaches will also receive a commemorative plaque. Each of our first team members will also receive a $25 Amazon gift card. So we would like to congratulate our second place team in the York County mock trial competition. That was Spring Grove High School Team 1 with teacher coach Jason Baker, attorney coach Jack Graybill, and the students, and I apologize if I do not pronounce your name correctly. We have Cole Shaw, Ben Patterson, Mike Shafi, Joe Kelly, Spencer Toff, Nick Etter, Brock Allison, Jacob Gandiaco, and Jess Weivel. And for the first time in 5 years, we have a new first place winning team, our Spring Grove 3 team. It was an all-girls student team. We congratulate the first place team, their teacher coach as their teacher coach. Bobby Buffington was their attorney coach. He was actually a former participant. And then the students, Sophia Dotwhite, Lily Snyder, Charlie Kurtz, Lexi Reinhardt, Gracie Schaub, Mary Murphy, Gabby Etter, Angelina Fontana, and Sheridan McCoy. The Law Day Fun isn't over yet. Committee co-chair Jen Galloway will share a new opportunity for adults and kids alike to use your creativity and win some great prizes. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, there is something new and exciting this year that I'm excited to tell you about. The Pennsylvania Bar Association is encouraging all members to celebrate Law Day, or the 2021 theme, Advancing the Rule of Law Now, by taking a break, getting some chalk, going outside, gathering some kiddos, and drawing a Law Day celebration message. It's a fun opportunity to engage safely with young people of any age and talk about the importance of law in our society. There are 4 prizes, $50 each, that are up for grabs. To be considered, the adult must send an email to lawday@pabar.org with the adult's contact information, a photograph of the completed artwork without the children, a sentence or 2 describing the activity by May 7th. We also encourage you and offer the opportunity to send up to 3 additional photos with the kids included if desired, and send those to the lawday@pabar.org. And then don't forget to share your photos of the completed chalk art project on Facebook or Twitter with the hashtag PBA Law Day 2021. Now on to our annual essay contest. This year, the Bar Foundation sponsored its annual Law Day essay contest for high school students throughout the county. The goal of this contest is to encourage the young people to give thought to current social and legal issues and to express their views on these issues. The winning essays are published in local newspapers and on our social media channels. This year, we had 4 topics. Those appear on the screen. The first one deals with vaccinations. When age-appropriate vaccines are available, should Pennsylvania mandate the COVID-19 vaccine for public school staff and students, as is done for many other communicable diseases? Why or why not? The second, what does the rule of law mean to you, and what is its importance to a democratic society? Third, should the Electoral College be changed or abolished? Why or why not? And fourth, should social media companies be permitted to refuse to publish user content? Why or why not? On behalf of the Law Day Committee, I would like to thank all of the English, history, and social studies students who participated in this Law Day essay contest. We had 9 schools participate this year and 55 essays were submitted. And I also want to thank sincerely Attorney Barb Stump for chairing the essay contest subcommittee, and Attorney Carolyn Pugh for handling all of the plagiarism check on the essays that were submitted. We also thank the York County Bar volunteers and committee members who read and scored all of the essays based on the students' logic, originality, thoughtfulness, and writing style. On to our winners. The 3rd place winner is Alexandria Luckenbach. She is a student from Dallastown Area High School. Her teacher is Joshua Mohair, and she chose the social media topic. Alexandria will receive a $100 Amazon gift card and a certificate of achievement. Our second place winner is Samantha Glover. She is a student at Central York High School, and her teacher is Erin McDaniel. Samantha will receive a $200 Amazon gift card and a certificate of achievement, and she chose to write on the topic regarding COVID-19 vaccination. And our first place winner this year is Kaya Toms. She is a student from Central York High School. Her teacher is Brandy Detweiler. Kaya will receive a $300 Amazon gift card and a certificate of achievement. And she wrote also about the social media topic. Congratulations to all of our winners. Hunter Schenk will now share the creative results of our bookmark contest.
Thanks, Jen. The Law Day Bookmark Design Contest is a fun and educational activity for 6th through 8th grade students in York County schools or who are being homeschooled. Some teachers have used the topic in this contest to promote class discussions or class projects. Others have simply made students aware of the opportunity to participate. 73 bookmark designs were submitted this year from 5 schools. Volunteer members of the York County Bar judged the bookmarks based on the students' creativity, originality, and the spirit of the theme. Here are the winners. Third place is awarded to Alyssa Zahurik, a 7th grade student from Northern Middle School. Alyssa's teacher is Melanie Carroll. Usually, we make the top 3 bookmarks into labels that we place on chocolate bars that are provided to the Law Day Luncheon attendees. Sadly, we're going to be missing that this year, along with the chocolate. Alyssa will receive a certificate in the mail, along with a $50 Amazon gift card. Second place is awarded to Addison Garman, an 8th grade student from Dallastown Middle School. Her teacher is Alexandra Beloga. Addison will also receive a certificate in the mail with a $75 Amazon gift card. First place is awarded to Coco Chu, an 8th grade student from Dallastown Middle School. Her teacher is Alexandra Beloga. Coco's design is being published on 2,500 bookmarks that will be distributed to the York County Library system and provided to children and families that visit the libraries free of charge. The opposite side of the bookmark will have the Bar Association's Lawyer Referral Service phone number on it so that York County residents can make one phone call to find the right attorney. Coco and her school will also receive a stack of the bookmarks. She will also receive a certificate and a $100 Amazon gift card. Congratulations to all. President Judge Musty Cook will now introduce our Liberty Bell Award recipient.
Thank you, Hunter. I'd like to begin by thanking the Liberty Bell Selection Committee, and that committee is made up of past award winners. I'd also like to give special thanks to my co-chair, Suzanne Greist, and a special thanks to Cheryl Kaufman, who really does a lot of our legwork in getting letters and notices sent out so that we can review these nominees. The Liberty Bell Award was established by the York County Bar more than 40 years ago to acknowledge outstanding volunteer community service related to the law and advancing justice. As I said, the selection committee consists of a distinguished list of past honorees who are invited to review the nominations. And on the screen, you'll see the list of our past award winners. Some of them are with us today, and some sadly have gone on to greener pastures. This is a difficult task each year because we always have some excellent nominees. And what's important in this process is 2 factors. One, this is for volunteer efforts. This is not part of a paid position. This is something someone's going above and beyond to accomplish. And it's also given to a non-lawyer. So it's not about awarding someone within the legal community, but rather awarding a non-lawyer who has done some outstanding work in the community. The criteria specifically on the legal side is that the volunteer efforts must promote a better understanding of our Constitution and Bill of Rights, encourage greater respect for the law and the courts, stimulate a deeper sense of individual responsibilities so that citizens recognize their duties as well as their rights, contribute to the effective functioning of our institutions of government, and foster a better understanding and appreciation of the rule of law in our society. Again, we often get wonderful nominations for volunteer efforts in the community, but it needs to tie together to legal volunteer work, not just any good community volunteer. So this year we had some really, truly outstanding nominations. And at this time, I would like to ask Craig Trebilcock to introduce our award winner, as he was the nominator for this award.
Thank you, Judge Cook. It is my special honor to introduce the 2021 Liberty Bell Award recipient, Ms. Stacy Dietz. I'd like to take a moment to summarize the many contributions Ms. Dietz has made to our community as a veteran, and in that guise to assisting those within the justice system to better understand both their responsibilities and opportunities. Stacy herself is an Air Force veteran. She served on active duty with the Air Force from December 1987 through February 1995. She served in support of Desert Shield, Desert Storm as an avionics guidance and control system specialist. During her service with the Air Force, she worked on maintenance and quality assurance with C-130 and C-141 transport aircraft. Stacy is a community leader, as is shown by her volunteer involvement with the Veterans Wellness Court Mentor Program, where she is a coordinator of that program, with the York County Veterans Outreach Board, with the Higher Standard Advisory Board that provided housing to veterans, and with the Windsor Lions Club as their vice president. Those are titles, but let me just drill down one level to tell you what Stacy has done for people who are involved in the justice system. The Veterans Wellness Court was established in 2012, and it has a 90% success rate in avoiding recidivism for its participants, largely due to the work of volunteer veteran mentors like Stacy, who serve as a battle buddy for a defendant in the court. And many of those individuals who've served their country well have co-occurring circumstances of substance abuse and mental health issues. Until last year, Stacy was the sole female mentor in the court, providing invaluable peer support services to mentees. She served as a mentor for multiple female veterans in the program since its inception. This is a particularly vulnerable population, as in this court's experience, many of the female participants are victims of military sexual trauma. And with that sort of background, having a male mentor, in addition to having a male judge, just simply doesn't work. Ms. Dietz has been a lifeline and a catalyst to ensure that those female veterans from our community have a trusted confidant to whom they can reveal their needs and their fears and their hopes while in the Veterans Wellness Court program. She's not a professional counselor, but she has inexhaustible patience, kindness, and dedication to her fellow veterans. That enables these fragile and victimized female veterans to open up about the fact that they are victims, which then enables them to regain their footing, confidence, and sense of self-worth. Most individuals who don't succeed in the justice system have problems with housing, lack of transportation, or lack of affordable housing. Stacy has helped veterans with all three of those. She's been integral in helping to support 2 housing projects for veterans. The first was a pilot project co-founded with the York County Veterans Department called Higher Standard, where Stacy was a founding board member. She's provided transportation support, acted as a housing advocate for the veterans as they seek to work through the complex labyrinth of housing programs. She's helped with financial support through the Mentor program, which provides emergency grants to those such as those needing first month's rent and security deposit, emergency funds for medical treatment, and other essential needs. She's done all of this while having a full-time professional career of her own. She served as a mentor coordinator in the mentor cadre and its many computer support activities. I could go on, but the program's short, so I'm not going to. I'll just note that wherever there's a need to assist veterans to better their circumstances, both in the justice system and community-wide, if you look around, you're going to see Stacy Dietz with her sleeves rolled up, engaged and leading. It is my pleasure to present the 2021 Liberty Bell Award recipient, Ms. Stacy Dietz.
Wow, thank you very much. I've been a Veterans Wellness Court mentor for going on 10 years now, And during this time, I've been deeply impressed by the Veterans Wellness Court process and the team's commitment to stop the cycle of drug abuse, offer treatment, and ultimately prevent veteran offenders from re-entering the criminal justice system. I've been particularly impressed by the treatment team itself, the judge, the probation department, the VA treatment professionals, and the attorneys who show a never-ending level of compassion and professionalism to every veteran participant that comes before them. The volunteer veteran mentor team who is committed to doing whatever it takes to help their brothers and sisters that are struggling, and by the Veterans Wellness Court participants themselves who are determined to be successful. As we know, our veteran participants start this journey for any number of reasons, and that most of them typically have not embraced the concept of changing their lives. They enter the Wellness Court broken, defeated, overwhelmed by their situations, and having lost most everything that was once important to them. Judge Jabilcock often reminds us that the skills that made us good soldiers typically do not make us good civilians, and that is so true. As soldiers, we quickly learned to compartmentalize and soldier on no matter what the task. That skill does not always translate well into civilian life and often becomes a hurdle in dealing with our issues and relationships. This process is an evolution, not a revolution. That phrase has always stuck with me, and I'm reminded of it frequently in Veterans Wellness Court. As mentors, our mission is to build a foundation of trust with our participants and ultimately become a part of a system that they can turn to when life happens and things go sideways. We refer to ourselves, as Judge Jabilcock says, as battle buddies, someone who has been there and done that and understands our struggles. As fellow veterans, we are able to make a connection with each other that is based on our shared experiences. However, those experiences do not always need to be the same. For instance, we do not all need to be combat veterans to relate. What truly connects us is at one point in our lives, we made a commitment to something much larger than ourselves. That commitment is at the core of our success, and we hold ourselves and each other accountable to that commitment. Being a mentor is rewarding. It's exhausting and frustrating, and it's hard, and it can be heartbreaking at times. And people often ask us as mentors, how can you keep on going? How do you keep continuing to sacrifice your precious time to help someone else that is struggling? And I've been thinking about that a lot recently. And I think the real question is, how do we stop? How do we not answer that call the next time, knowing that it could be the one time that truly changes somebody else's life? Leave no veteran behind. These are not just words on our brochure or an empty phrase. Leave no veteran behind defines who we are. I would like to take just a brief minute to express my sincere appreciation to Judge Jabilcock. He will tell us that one person does not make the Veterans Wellness Court program successful, and he's correct. However, one person can have an incredible impact on many people's lives. And I know that I speak for the entire mentor team when I say that Judge Jabilcock has not only had a positive impact on the lives of our veteran participants, but also on the lives of the veteran mentors. In the years I've spent in his courtroom, there have been many times when his words have had a profound impact on a struggle in my own life. And I know I share that experience with many of my fellow mentors. For that, Judge T, we sincerely thank you. It is truly a blessing in my life, a privilege and an honor to stand next to each of you in support of this mission. Thank you.
Stacy, it's my pleasure on behalf of the York County Bar Foundation to virtually present you with a beautiful plaque at this time. Believe me, we don't just have a picture of it. We will be presenting you with the plaque in person in the future. So congratulations again.
Thank you.
It is now my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker. And that is Mr. Patrick J. Murphy, the Honorable Patrick J. Murphy. Patrick is a man of many talents and is known for several distinctions. Patrick is the first Iraq War veteran who was elected to the United States Congress. He's a former acting Secretary of the Army. He is a healthcare innovator in the public and private sectors and an ongoing champion for veterans issues. We could not think of anyone whose presentation could align more perfectly with our 2021 Law Day theme of advancing the rule of law now. In keeping with that theme, Patrick will share his experiences and perspective on the importance of the rule of law in a democratic society. At age 19, Patrick joined the Army, launching a lifelong commitment to our nation's military and its veterans. He has served as a soldier, as a combat veteran, as a congressman, and as a 32nd Undersecretary of the Army. Today, Patrick continues to advocate and empower veterans through his work in the public and private sectors. And as what he calls a vet-trepreneur, he spearheads a wide range of business interests and offers veterans the opportunity to launch their own dreams by investing in their companies. As a public speaker and media executive, Patrick helps amplify the voices and experience of veterans on outlets such as MSNBC, CBS, the Discovery Network, and elsewhere. Patrick currently lives in Pennsylvania with his 2 children, Maggie and Jack. Let me note that if you have questions during the presentation, please submit them in the chat box. YCBA President Chris Farrow, who happens to be Pat's former college roommate, will pose the questions to him following the presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor to introduce the Honorable Patrick J. Murphy.
Judge T, thank you so much. It's great to be with you and everybody here today, and especially the students that joined us today. But Judge T, you're a personal hero of mine. I don't hold it against you that you went to the University of Michigan for undergrad and law school, but the fact that you served our Army for over 30 years, retiring with the rank of colonel. So not only are you a judge, but a colonel, which is the top 1% of all our military ranks. So thank you. And obviously your service in combat. For those who don't know, Judge T had earned the Bronze Star, but also the Army Commendation Medal for Valor. So he is truly one of our nation's heroes. So Judge T, thank you so much. And most importantly, your great work at Veterans Court there in York County. And as you said, it has a 90% success rate. I know you're with Melissa Fitzgerald and Timmy Wynn, doing some things and just talking about how, as Stacy mentioned, that we all live by this ethic that we leave no one behind. And you are not leaving your brothers and sisters behind when they come home. And unfortunately, those who fall through the cracks, you make sure they get back on the straight and narrow. So thanks so much for all that you're doing. I do want to recognize the other great folks that are here. President Judge Maria Musty Cook, retired Judge John Euler. Thanks for your leadership with the York Bar Foundation. Bar Association President Chris Farrow, who was my roommate and one of my best friends. He's just a great American. And I do want to just begin by just saying congratulations to the students that won the great awards for their essays, for the mock trial, but also for the 2021 Liberty Bell Award winner, Stacy. Stacy, congrats for your win. I know you served with distinction in the Air Force and you continue to serve. My brother and I'm an Army veteran like Judge T, but my brother was in the Air Force. My father served in the Navy during Vietnam. My 2 uncles served in the Army in Vietnam. So my youngest son, Jack Murphy, who's 11, says he's going to become a Marine just so he could have all 4 services be represented in the Murphy family. But Stacy, congratulations on your great win. To all of you, it is really, truly an honor for me to be here with you today. I'm calling you from Bucks County, Pennsylvania, where I live. And to celebrate Law Day and to celebrate with every single one of you, it's a day of great national significance to me. I have devoted my life to our U.S. Constitution. And I got my start, to be honest with you, 32 years ago. So I have a special place for these 20 students that are with us today. I was 15 years old in high school when I became a messenger at a law firm. My mother was a secretary, a legal secretary. She had just left a few years earlier, about a decade earlier, I should say, the convent. She was a Catholic nun. Luckily for me, she left because otherwise I wouldn't be here. But she then married a Philadelphia police officer and a Navy veteran. And when she was a legal secretary, one of her girlfriends, secretary at another law firm, said, "Hey, I met your two boys. We need a messenger for the law firm. Any chance they would be interested?" And we got paid $5 an hour. My brother did it, and then I did it for several years. And it's both of us are the reason why we went to King's College. We worked for the O'Connor brothers for first Mike O'Connor. Then I eventually worked for Patrick O'Connor when I went to King's College with Chris Farrell for Tom O'Connor. But, I never thought in a million years that I would go from making filings and photocopies and washing dishes in the kitchen area at a law firm to becoming a lawyer, first in the Army JAG Corps, but then at some of the country's top law firms as a partner. I've been very, very blessed in my life. And it goes back to mentors that have shaped the person who I am today. Mentors, as I mentioned, like the O'Connor brothers, Mike O'Connor and Mike Dunn. And then when I was in the Army, mentors like Patrick Finnegan, who gave me a chance to be a constitutional law professor. And that was an incredible assignment. And I never thought I would go on to even join the Army. I didn't know the difference between an Army officer and enlisted. My dad had served for 3 years as enlisted in the Navy, but to go and join the Army at age 19 and to be commissioned as an Army officer as a second lieutenant was just awesome. And it wasn't always awesome, waking up in the middle of college at dark 30 and being in formation by 6:30 wasn't always great. Chris Farrell will tell you that there's only 4 of us when I was at King's that earned our commission our senior year, but of the 2,200 students that went to our college. But it was an awesome experience, and the Army let me go to come to go to law school, and then I went back on active duty. It was a military and a federal prosecutor, a specialty U.S. attorney up in New York, and then to be able to teach at West Point and teaching constitutional military law. West Point, for those who don't know, West Point is one of the world's premier. It's the world's premier leadership institution. It's a college where over 4,000 cadets from all over our country and all over the world come. And there's 3 ways, though, to become an Army officer. It's through West Point, it's through ROTC, and it's through OCS, Officer Candidate School. So I earned my commission through ROTC when I was at King's College, but then when I was teaching at West Point, when I was asked to join there, was with a Colonel Patrick Finnegan. He went on to become a general, but I'll never forget, I was a prosecutor there, and he came into my office on a Friday afternoon. He knocked on the door. I stood up at attention, and he says, "Patrick, at ease, and sit down." And he said, "Do you mind if I shut the door?" And I'll never forget, here's a full board Colonel Patrick Finnegan talking to Captain Patrick Murphy at the time and saying, can I shut the door? I had the Catholic guilt, and I thought I was in trouble, to be honest with you. But he said to me, "Patrick, I see how you are in the courtroom. I know you're a lector at the local Catholic church. I know you coach youth hockey, even though you don't have you're not married, you don't have kids, but you're still teaching other kids, sons and daughters, the sport of hockey. I would like you to join the faculty at West Point. I'd like you to be a full-time professor here, and I have my choice of 5,000 captains, and I'm picking you." And he said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Sir, I'm honored and thank you so much. But I joined the Army to be a military federal prosecutor. I don't think I'm going to take it, but can I think about it over the weekend?" He goes, "Of course." Then luckily I went and called my mentors and I said, "What do you think? My goal is to go to the 82nd and go to these elite units." And they said, "Patrick, you're crazy. You should absolutely, it's like teaching at Harvard." So West Point, again, those 4,000 cadets, every single one of them, when they go on their last core class in their senior year, they actually have to take as a mandated course constitutional law. So it's constitutional military law, or what we call Law 403. And of the 13 academic departments, they actually have a law department for undergraduates. And cadets there can major in law. They don't become lawyers, but they can major in law. But that last core class, no matter what your major is, it's mandated, and it's important because in that Constitution, it's the blueprint of our country. And in fact, every person that serves in the military, whether it was Stacy in the Air Force, or my brother, or me and Judge T in the Army, et cetera, and every judge and every member of Congress, et cetera, you actually raise your right hand and you take an oath to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that U.S. Constitution is such an incredible document, and to celebrate it on Law Day is, with all of you, is incredibly special. In that Constitution, we have certain fundamental beliefs. And one of those main beliefs is the rule of law. And so I love the fact that, we're celebrating Law Day and we're advancing the rule of law now. It is so incredibly important. So especially for the younger folks in this audience, what is the rule of law? The rule of law is one of the fundamental principles. It is that no one is above the law. It's about the equality of law. So no matter how poor or rich you are, no matter how powerful you may be, you cannot skirt the U.S. law. One of my favorite quotes, and I pulled it up, was from John Adams. John Adams says, "We are a government of laws and not of men." And Thomas Paine said once, "In other nations, the king is law, but in America, the law is king." And that rule of law, that no one is above the law, it's frankly, for other nations, this foreign concept, but it is a uniquely American idea that is just so incredibly important as the underpinning of our Constitution. I want to mention one other thing. Patrick Finnegan, the colonel who asked me to join the faculty at West Point, he then became the dean at West Point. He's no longer with us. He has since passed. But General Finnegan, when me and a couple other of the new professors came in, he sat us in his office and he said, "I'm picking you because not only do you have a great legal mind, but you are leaders from all in our Army, and they came from all over." And he said, and I have one rule. You're there to inspire these cadets. They're soon to be officers. They're soon to be in control of 40 men and women in the platoons, where they're going to have to know what the Fourth Amendment right against search and seizures, Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, Sixth Amendment right of counsel, what that means. And I could go in greater detail about that, but he's like, I have one rule and I want to make sure I'm very clear. You will not, no matter how self-deprecating you're trying to be, you will not tell law jokes. You will not tell lawyer jokes. You will not be embarrassed about our profession. Many of you heard, the first thing to do is we're going to kill the lawyers. And some of you don't know that comes from Shakespeare, Henry VI. And the person in Shakespeare, Henry VI, who said that it's a quote from Dick the Butcher. Dick the Butcher was an evil killer. And really that quote is, the first thing we'll do is let's kill all the lawyers. It's because there was an implicit praise on the lawyers and the officers of our profession, because they stand in the way of angry mobs. They stand in the way of popular vote. They stand in the way of folks who want to do our fellow brothers and sisters, our fellow citizens harm. So today we celebrate the rule of law, and I'll talk in greater detail about that. But in that Constitution, again, that framework of the rule of law, we have to also recognize that we have three branches of government. When I taught constitutional law at West Point, I used to say it's like rocks, paper, scissors. And you say, what's the best? Is it rock? Is it paper? Or is it scissors? Well, there's no real answer because it's co-equal branches of government. The legislative branch, the executive branch, judicial branch, it's like rocks, paper, scissors. One is not more powerful than the other. And they provide those checks and balances, which is another incredible principle of our blueprint of our country, of the U.S. Constitution. And last but not least, we have to also talk about the Constitution, how it is a living and breathing document that even after it was passed, within several years, we had the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to our Constitution that gives us the freedom of speech and to worship and to associate, that gives us the right to bear arms, that gives us basically a right to counsel, and a right against self-incrimination. And we can go on. And again, we know there's over 24 amendments to that Constitution, but it makes it such a unique document that others try to mirror in their own countries. Let me talk about real quick the rule of law and how I kind of saw it from my perspective. Again, that rule of law that no one is more powerful and that everyone is held accountable. Even we had sitting U.S. presidents that have been held accountable under the rule of law. President Nixon, President Clinton. Again, even though they had the most powerful position in not just the United States of America, but most would say the most powerful country in the world, they were still held accountable. And again, whether that was in civil court or criminal court, they were. And, you know, when I was there at age 27 teaching constitutional law at West Point, it was such an incredible honor. But I was there, unfortunately, also when 9/11 happened, when thousands of our fellow Americans, civilians, were murdered that day. And I went into then Colonel Finnegan's office and said, hey, sir, I want to, you know, it's an honor to teach here. And thank you for giving me that special trust and confidence. But I've been airborne school and I've been air assault school and I was getting ready for Ranger School. I said, but sir, I want to get in a fight. And I deployed a few months later. And I was a lawyer for then Colonel Mark Milley. And Colonel Mark Milley is now the chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, a 4-star general. And him and I had the great opportunity to run the Army together. He was the Chief of Staff and I was the Acting Secretary of the Army. And he's a great person. He's also, by the way, a fellow hockey player. He played hockey at Princeton. But I say that because when I deployed with him and I came back and then I was reassigned with the 82nd Airborne Division, I was part of the evasion force in Iraq. And you know, never in a million years when I was, you know, with Chris Farrow, and who was a pre-law major and our student body president for our class and just a great American. I never thought, you know, when I was 19 and joining the Army and playing hockey with Chris Farrow, that, you know, within 10 years, I'd be a professor at West Point. And a few years after that I would deploy and be in Baghdad, Iraq in 138-degree heat. And when I was there with the 2nd Brigade Combat Team with the 82nd Airborne Division, you know, when our troops would sometimes, you know, be down what we call Route Irish or Highway 1 in the middle of Baghdad, it's like the Pennsylvania Turnpike. It was, you know, a 6-lane highway, and our Humvee's a little bit bigger than an average car. And sometimes we get in car accidents. And if one of our captains who was a convoy commander got in a car accident, he would say, hey, here's our card, here's a number, we're at this Fort Operating Base in South Central Baghdad, you know, come show up. And again, they'd be like, what? Like, you know, yeah, you hit us, you were at fault, but you're really gonna help me get my tire fixed or help me get the dent out? And we'd be like, yeah, like, you know, we recognize that we're not perfect. We're trying to do good things. We're trying to make sure that we route out people who are trying to do their fellow citizens harm. But that was really the rule of law in motion. And again, we would, you know, what we call under the Foreign Claims Act, we would pay that claim because, again, we were wrong. Sometimes we would do most of our combat operations at night. But in Iraq, you know, there's not a mature address system. And when we do these operations at night, sometimes we use the element of surprise, and we'd have to go through either the skylights in the roof or some windows or through their front door in sudden motions. And when we would do that, every once in a while, we would go into a wrong section of the wrong house or the next door neighbor's house or next door neighbor's window, and we would break things. And we would say, hey, we're sorry. And again, we would try to hold ourselves accountable. But again, that is the rule of law. That was such a foreign concept because they were like, you know, wait, under Saddam Hussein, we would, if he did something wrong or one of his people would do something wrong, they were the government, they were the king, like we couldn't do anything. And we're like, yeah, we get it. But you know, we were wrong here and we're sorry. And we're trying to make it better. So I had the incredible opportunity to see the rule of law in motion, and not just to talk about it in theory at West Point, but also to see it in action in foreign countries and have other nations and the citizens of those nations be so incredibly grateful that we abided by that principle, not just here at home in America, but also overseas. I would also, like to mention a couple other things real quick. I know, I had a great legal career. I'm not really, I still have a license as a lawyer. I'm not really practicing law, but I wouldn't become an entrepreneur. And Judge T, thank you for that incredible intro. I wouldn't have became an entrepreneur if I wasn't first a lawyer and an Army officer. And I try to hone these skills and try to do what I can to give back to our law profession. For those who don't know, Judge T is one of the true leaders in veterans courts across this country, and these alternative courts that have an incredible ROI, return on investment, where it's again a 90% effective rate, and it's pretty special. So I work with what's called the National Association for Drug Court Professionals, and they do great work. And I also do work where under what's called, I'm on the board of the Legal Services Corporation, LSC, and Legal Services Corporation is this national nonprofit where we fund legal clinics throughout the country, including in Pennsylvania nearby, and we give free legal services to those folks who can't afford it. And so for me, to go to a great college like King's College, and let me be clear, we're talking about the high points. I had to go to community college first. I was rejected from King's College, but then reapplied, made the dean's list at community college, reapplied to King's, and went there. And then I was lucky enough to go to Widener University School of Law, the Commonwealth School of Law in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So for me to work in Harrisburg and work at the Harrisburg Civil Law Clinic, which is affiliated with that university, with Widener University School of Law, was an incredible experience. And, to go to St. Francis Soup Kitchen on Thursdays when I was a law student and a student clinic leader, and give legal advice. But the Legal Service Corporation, which I give back, I'm on a board now, where we give money to these, again, civil law clinics. It's important because not everybody could afford, especially everyone gets a right to counsel in criminal courts under the Sixth Amendment, and you have a right to counsel. Obviously, you have a right to have counsel in civil cases, but most folks, a lot of folks can't afford it. And so, we do give these legal services. Judge T, I mentioned in my beginning, and there's a reason why I did. I know you're a Michigan grad. The football coach at University of Michigan, Coach Harbaugh, is actually one of my fellow board members on the LSC. And so I know you come from a great line of folks from that institution. And I just want to recognize that and how you've devoted your life. And I know you have battle buddies like Stacy with you every step of the way. And I just want to say thanks so much. You've been an inspiration for many. Let me maybe conclude, because I would love to do more time on question and answer on the rule of law. The rule of law, again, I just want to make sure I highlight it, that it's a fundamental principle and underpinning of that blueprint of America, that U.S. Constitution. And on Law Day, we honor and we celebrate what makes us different. When Judge T went overseas, when my brother's done 2 overseas deployments, I've done 2 overseas deployments, my 2 uncles served in Vietnam, et cetera. When we do these deployments, when our military serves, it is not for folks' oil, it's not for their property, it's not to conquer. It is to make sure we stand up for the principles that make humankind good. It is for those fundamental principles, and America itself is the reluctant warrior. You see behind me, this is my 4-star flag from the Pentagon, and that symbol of America is that eagle. And that eagle has 2 talons. On one talon, it has an olive branch, signifying our economic power, our diplomacy, and our leadership throughout the world. And the other talon has 13 arrows, signifying first the 13 colonies, but also our military might. But America at its best is a reluctant warrior. And we're a reluctant warrior because, again, it goes back to our Constitution. A lot of folks think, well, the President of the United States sends our troops into harm's way. No, it's enumerated clearly in the Constitution under Article 1. Only Congress can declare war. The president executes. And it's the political leaders in Washington, again, and those decisions, when you have the legislative, executive, and judicial branch go hand in glove with each other to make sure we're following the principles of our Constitution and following the rule of law. So thank you for having me here today. I would be honored if I could do some Q&A. I know my college roommate, Chris Farrow, who's now was the president of our class and now is the president of the York County Bar Association. But Chris, if I could turn over to you and I'd be honored to answer any questions from you or from the crowd that there might be.
Thanks, Pat. I do have a question. Chris, are you there?
I'm there. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't. I'm not sure if I'm seeing you. I want to put a spotlight on wherever you are. Is your video? There you are. I do have a question, and that is, what is your view on the rule of law progress in Iraq and Afghanistan?
Well, thanks, Jennifer, for that question. So I think there's been great progress in the rule of law in Iraq and Afghanistan. In Iraq, they've established what's called the CCC, the Central Criminal Court of Iraq, and judicial system. Again, when I was in Baghdad, it was part of the invasion. I was there in 2003 and 2004, but I keep tabs. I'm still friends with folks that live in Baghdad that are there. It has been much more positive. And again, that's a very good thing. And that under the Central Criminal Court of Iraq, that's basically the what we call the CCC over there. That is their Supreme Court. And I had the incredible opportunity to try 3 cases in the Supreme Court over there. And I will tell you that under threat of being murdered and others in the court system, unfortunately from terrorists that were still over there, terrorist operatives, they're abiding by that. But they have a long way to go with their economy and other things. As far as Afghanistan, Jennifer, to your question, it depends on what part of Afghanistan you're talking about. In Kabul, in the central region that is still run by the government, there is the rule of law. And again, when we put American forces over there 20 years ago, of October of 2001, girls at that time could not go to school. Girls could not vote. And now they can. So I am slightly worried as we bring our troops home we have a couple thousand over there now, but we're bringing them home by this September 11th of 2021, 20 years later. I'm worried that they could backtrack on the rule of law. They could backtrack on some of the gains in equality, especially for women over there. So that country is in my thoughts and prayers, and I'm watching to see how it unfolds.
Thanks, Pat. So it occurred to me as I was listening to your speech and listening to some of the awards given out earlier today that you and I really first met each other when we were no older than many of the people that got awards today for winning mock trial in the essay competition. And being able to watch you from that point to where you started and where you are, I think it's important for people to know. And you talked about your background a little bit. And while you have wonderful parents, wonderful family, brothers and sisters, you certainly, as a teenager, there was no assured path for you moving through the field of law, moving into being a professor, and to where you're at now. And so it's a great tribute to where you started and where you are today. And I certainly have enjoyed watching over the years and being your friend. But I have a couple questions for you today. So since we have a number of young people watching us here, I was wondering if, thinking back, you could talk about maybe the best piece of advice or a good piece of advice that you received when you were about their age, late in high school, that has stood the test of time and has maybe helped you through your path and even today, whether it's military, political, or business.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I would say, and listen, I feel very, very blessed to be where I am today, and hopefully will continue to serve my country, our country. But I will say 2 things. Two pieces of advice I give to everybody, but especially those students that are here joining us today to celebrate Law Day. First, believe in yourself and have grit and resiliency to understand that everybody fails. Everybody fails. And so you might not be the top of your class, there might be people that are better than you, but if you have a goal, if you want to be something, if you want to say to yourself, man, I want to be a lawyer someday, or I want to be a U.S. senator someday, or I want to own my own business someday, whatever that goal is, find yourself, so set goals, and to understand that you have to have that grit, that resiliency, that even though you might stumble along the way, learn from those mistakes. You know, failure is not when you make mistakes. Failure is when you give up on something. I will tell you, when I went to King's, I was a double major in psychology and human resource management. I joined the Army at 19. I was super excited to become an Army officer. I never thought in a million years that I was going to go to college and eventually go to law school, because I'd worked for these incredibly intelligent lawyers who I thought were the smartest people in the world. And I'll never forget, it was like it was yesterday. I was a junior at King's, and I was talking to one of the lawyers I worked with. His name was Mike Dunn. He was originally from the Wilkes-Barre area, but he's a partner in Philadelphia at a major law firm. And Mike Dunn said to me, Patrick, what are you going to do? Like, how's it going? I said, Mr. Dunn, it's going great. I'm doing well grades. I had over 3.0, and I'm going to become an Army officer. And he's like, well, walk me through this. You're going to be an Army officer. How long are you going to serve for? I was like, well, I'm a scholarship cadet, so I'm on full scholarship, and I should have to go give 4 years, but I might do more. I don't know. And he goes, Patrick, like, he goes, what about going to law school? There's this movie, A Few Good Men. Like, why don't you go be a lawyer for the Army? And I remember it was like yesterday. I said, Mr. Dunn, I'm not as smart as you. I can't go to law school. And he said, well, what's your grade again? I said, it's a little over 3.0. And he goes, well, get your grades up. And he goes, take the LSAT. At least give yourself some options. But like, you're plenty smart. And he goes, do you think I was this smart when I was 20 and 21? He goes, you could do it. He believed in me. I mean, he's been a mentor throughout my life. And it makes me think I have to reach out to him just to remind him that, like, how thankful I am, now almost 30 years later, 25 years later. And so, yeah, I might have failed. And again, even when I was doing well at King's, and Chris Farrell probably doesn't remember this story, but I took the LSAT and I didn't take a prep course. And unlike him, I wasn't pre-law, so I didn't think I was going to law school. He had a great career, went on to Keene, but I took the LSAT and I didn't do well at all. And I remember I got my results back and like, oh man, but I was like, well, I really want to do this. And I took what's called the Princeton Review. I really studied harder the second time, and I went up 9 points, which is, but it wasn't until I was focused on that test to do well. So, for those students, what's that test that you have in front of you? What's that mark? So set the goal, and then have actually mentors or people that you respect, and ask yourself, okay, I want to be that person. I want to do that thing. What were they doing when they were age 25, when they were age 20, et cetera? And look at how they got in their path. I know for me, and again, when you fail, when you stumble, understand that your journey throughout life is never going to be A to B. There's going to be, different things throughout it. And just because you stumble, just because it might go a different path, doesn't make it any less rewarding. And I will mention one other thing besides just the LSAT. When I was at King's, I read Colin Powell's book, General Colin Powell. For those who don't know, he was a 4-star general, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He was ROTC, was born and raised in a blue-collar area, and he was one of my personal role models. And when he went on and did what's called the White House Fellowship. The White House Fellowship is a very prestigious fellowship, and you work at the White House and high-level departments. And so I applied for the White House Fellowship years later. So I went on to become a federal and military prosecutor. I never lost a case in my life. Went on to become, as a constitutional law professor at West Point. Went on 2 combat deployments, prosecuted high-level terrorists, and then came back from my second deployment, applied to be a White House Fellow from my apartment in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I was rejected. I didn't become a White House Fellow. So I was like, okay, I guess it's not the path. And again, that was something that I had read about in a book 10 years earlier. I was finally of age to do it. Was part of my career where I knew I could go and the Army would cut me loose to go do it if I got in. To make a long story short, I didn't get it. And so frankly, that was when I was like, okay, well, I want to go and I want to effectuate public policy. And I came back home. I got a job at a law firm. I worked for one of the O'Connor brothers at a firm called Coase and O'Connor. Worked there and ran for the U.S. Congress and won. And I was outspent by $3 million. I won by 1,518 votes at the $250,000 that were cast, and became the first Iraq War veteran. And now I help other veterans run for office because we had the least amount of veterans serving in Congress. So I help folks like Tom Rooney, who's a Republican from Florida. Him and I were professors at West Point together, and we were classmates at the JAG School, which is the University of Virginia, years earlier. But he's one of my best friends, and as Chris knows, he's one of the owners of his favorite football team. But that to me is important, to let your voice be heard, but that the set goals, that have that grit and resiliency to understand that you set goals that you might stumble, but keep to it and don't give up.
So I'll jump in because, again, I had sort of a bird's eye view of the story Pat's telling, and when you listen to it from start to finish, you think it's a straight line. And in reality, it's not. It's a zigzag. But when you have a drive like Patrick, it sort of looks straight because you're just busting through barriers. And I can tell you that the story he just told, that culminated him in running for Congress and ultimately being elected as the first Iraq War veteran. The odds were against him, and I've never seen anyone work harder for anything, and that's really applies to just about everything I've seen Pat do. And nothing is easy. And I think that's the story that always sticks in my mind is after Pat wins and becomes a congressman at a young age. Congressmen aren't paid a lot. And like I said, I remember Pat telling me, come down and see me in Washington. And I had a young son at that time, and we took a trip down to see him. And I realized then that Pat couldn't even afford an apartment in Washington, D.C. because he was grinding so hard trying to live back in Bucks County and serve his constituents. And I saw his blow-up mattress in his congressional office that he had to live in, and he's working 24 hours a day. And it was again the highlight of what you can do when you just believe and keep grinding. And the highlight of that trip, Pat, I don't know if you remember it, and I still think of it all the time when I see a presidential address or a State of the Union. My son, who was about I believe 5 at that time, visitors were not allowed on the House floor, especially adults, and so I had to go sit up in the well. But Pat took my son down to the floor of the United States Congress, and sitting in the Speaker of the House's chair, sort of spinning around. And every time I see a State of the Union, I see that chair, I think of those two down there. It's good memories. And so, Pat, again, I know your whole story. I know the background. I know that you started off as in college before you even went into the military as a security guard at the Veterans Stadium, the old vet when the Eagles used to play there, and then you went and served on a forward mission in combat in Baghdad and tried cases over in a hot zone. I'm wondering which environment was more difficult to work in.
Well, working at 700 level at Veterans Stadium with the Philadelphia Eagles Stadium was not an easy task. And I could tell stories on that one, as you know. But that was, I got paid to watch Eagles games, which was a great job. And I defended one of my colleagues during one of the games and tackled someone that had assaulted one of my fellow security guards, and I tackled this 6'4", 220-some pound person. At the time, and I was about a buck 35 tops at the time. So I got a battlefield promotion down to the field. So that was a tough one. But I never thought that I'd be in the middle of Baghdad in 138-degree heat. And unfortunately, leading convoys up and down what's called Ambush Alley, and fortunately our property base getting mortared at night. And I think I lost 19 of my brothers over in Iraq. It was a defining moment, in my life. But you kind of learn from that. And even now, and Chris, I wasn't expecting to talk about this, but even now, I would say another piece of advice I give the kids, and learning that, is to have a servant's heart. When you're doing moot court and you're doing these essays, hopefully you're not doing it just to check the box for your college resume. You're doing it to really learn. But have that servant's heart that you want to, the reason why I wanted to go become a lawyer is to help people. And having a law degree allows you to change your world. It allows you to have this voice in a court that, you know, that is all about justice and about equality. And so, you know, having a servant's heart to give back. And so, you know, what I saw wrong in my life, I tried to make it right. And one of those wrongs I saw, you know, that I'm still fighting for in Iraq, we had, you know, I didn't speak fluent Arabic. I could get by a little bit, say Assalamu alaikum, alaikum assalam, and some other things, but like I didn't major in Arabic. I didn't speak it, but that's the native tongue of the Iraqis. And so, you know, we had 2 interpreters over there, and they were both graduates of Baghdad University. They spoke 4 languages. They spoke obviously Arabic, English, French, and they spoke Spanish. And so it was Aliyah and Shema, and they were our translators, our interpreters over there. So I could interact with the Iraqi judges, so I could interact with Iraqi lawyers and the population. And they were with us on every convoy. Well, now, you know, there's thousands of these interpreters that are in Iraq or Afghanistan, and they're trying to become citizens of America. They've unfortunately, when we left, they were, in my case, Aliyah, I got her over here, but we couldn't get her cousin over right away. Well, her cousin Shema, unfortunately was captured and by some terrorists over there, and they tortured her and they abused her, and she fled to Syria. And, you know, to me, you know, I fight for foundations like the No One Left Behind Foundation, and I stand there with Ambassador Crocker and General David Petraeus, and we're trying to fight to help these interpreters, these translators come back over here, you know, to earn citizenship over here under what's called a SIV, special immigrant visas. But again, I think that the point is that, you know, no matter what tough situation, if you see wrong, do something about it. In your life, if you have a law degree, when you see wrong, you could do something about it, and such a much more powerful level as well. And that's why I'm so blessed to be a member of the bar and to be with all of you here today.
Pat, I appreciate you being here with us today. I think I'm going to turn the presentation, I believe, back over to Judge Euler or Victoria.
For the personalization of your presentation this afternoon, Victoria will be sharing initially the Law Day Committee power, reflects the names of the volunteer members of the Law Day Committee and the Liberty Bell Award Selection Subcommittee. Rather than reiterating those names in the interest of time, all have been referred to before, we give thanks from the York County Bar Foundation and Association to your assistance in the presentation today, and a special thanks to the Mock Trial Committee, which also has been responsible for overseeing the student civic mock trial portion. Special recognition is also extended to our Chief Executive, Victoria Connor, and her extraordinary staff for all the work that's been put forth in today's presentation. We also give special thanks to the American Bar Association and the Pennsylvania Bar Association for the use of the videos, and thanks, and a special thanks to the keynote speaker, Patrick J. Murphy, who shared a wonderful presentation today. We should note the slides that are ending our program today, helping fulfill the promise of liberty and justice for all, and our celebration years of 140 years for the Bar Association and the Bar Foundation. Congratulations should be extended again to all the students and Liberty Bell Award recipients. We note and should remember the overarching Law Day messages of advancing the rule of law now and liberty and justice for all now. Thank you for joining us today, and this concludes our program. Have a wonderful week.